A young man was sleeping in his room when a woman knelt beside him and stared at him for a moment before pinching his nose. After struggling to breathe for a few seconds, he suddenly jolted awake, shocked by how close she was. The woman smiled at him, calling him Yoichi, and told him to wake up since it was already late in the morning. She warned that if he didn't, she would prank him. Still reeling from the unexpected wake-up, Yoichi almost called her mom, but quickly corrected himself and addressed her as ma'am. The woman, named Hannah, didn't seem pleased with this. She reminded him that she had already asked him to call her mom when they were at home. Although not his real mother, Hannah had taken on a maternal role in his life. Hannah then left his room, telling him to calm down before coming to join her for breakfast. Yoichi was actually staying overnight at Hannah's place, and this all happened the previous morning, more exactly about 24 hours ago. It was the spring of his first year in university, to which residence was actually burned down totally, and the cause was due to sparks from the refrigerator's compressor falling on the scum leaked by a resident of the same floor. Thereby, he became homeless right after his first month in university, which was a terrible start to his campus life. While standing with other residents, he received a call from a friend of his whom he tried to stay at his place for a while, but was turned down and told Yoichi that his parents' house is not too far from the university, as it's in the same prefecture, so he could stay there for a while. Not long after, he arrived at the place, which turned out to be a guest house, even though it's really far back in the countryside. He had never thought that the scenery would change this much from his previous apartment, which is just 3 stations away and a 20-minute bus ride. Right in front of the guest house is the Pacific Ocean, to which he heads inside to talk to the owner. On heading inside, he was greeted with a very beautiful woman in spectacles kneeling on the floor in a very courteous manner, greeting him as though he was her lover. Yoichi was totally shocked by this, to which he told the woman, Hannah, that she might be wrong. However, Hanai simply burst into laughter, claiming she had just played a prank on him, and then asked him if he was moved by her act. He was totally stunned by Hannah's physical appearance, which turned out to be a tan beauty and looks pretty young. He wondered if she works in the guest house part-time. Hannah then told him that she had already been informed about his plight. He immediately apologized for his late introductions and then properly introduced himself as Yoichi, a friend of Itsuka who directed him to the place. He was very grateful for accommodating him despite his sudden request. Hannah found him to be quite polite and then asked him to come in and welcome him to the guest house. She then inquired about the fire outbreak and that there were some injuries, which Yoichi nodded to. She then brought him into the rows of rooms, telling him that there are not many customers at the moment, so he can just use a room and live there for a while, to which she then introduced herself as the landlady of the guest house. Yoichi was surprised as he thought that Itsuki's mom was the landlady, not the seemingly young woman in front of him. Hannah then told him that she is actually Itsuki's mom. Yoichi was totally stunned to realize that she is actually 34 years old young mother and a landlady. But then again, she played pranks on him as she claimed she has not birthed anyone, and since Itsuki's parents are not around, then she is currently the parent. However, Yoichi could only agree silently, even though he was confused. At the time, he received a call from his mom, thinking that the school management must have informed her about the disaster. However, he did not pick it up for the meantime. Hannah then took him to a very large room, which she told him to stay in henceforth. Even though it's pretty old, it still looks quite neat, and that he can make use of the TV and refrigerator however he likes, except that he is not allowed to make any noise after 9 p.m. And that meal starts at 6 p.m., so he can take his baths afterwards. She then excused him as she had other things to do. Yoichi then received a call from his friend whom he talked to that he did not expect the place to be a guest house, and that he would be leaving there tomorrow as he could not stay any longer. However, his friend simply told him that he is aware of the fact that Yoichi likes girls who are kinda otaku, and that even though something like that may not exist in reality, he told him that there is such a woman in the same guest house Yoichi is in, who was surprised. However, his friend told him that he would send him the lady's picture later for him to check out. He immediately looked for Hannah as soon as he received the picture, which he checked out, and found the tan beauty to be quite sexy and cute. He saw Hannah scrubbing the bathroom floors at the moment, who also noticed his arrival and asked him if he wanted to take his bath first. She apologized that she still hasn't finished cleaning the bath, claiming that she is so lazy. However, Yoichi politely told her that he can take the bath later so that he can help her clean first. He actually wanted to ask Hannah about the lady's picture, but then he needed to show her gratitude for letting him stay at the guest house. More so, he was never aware of anyone older than him, but since she is his friend's aunt, then he had to be a bit hesitant about the approach. After they're done with the cleaning, Hannah brought him a whole lot of exquisite seafood dishes for him that he felt embarrassed by himself for being unable to have such money to pay for the food. Yoichi then added that his friend had not told him about the guest house, otherwise he would have thought of getting some money for the accommodation as well. However, Hannah told him not to worry about that, and it's very rare for Itsuki to invite his friends to the house, so she could at least take care of him this much. He was grateful for the gesture, to which he proceeded to take a bite, which he found to be very tasty. As he kept eating, he found Hannah's presence to be quite accommodating and let him be at ease. It was at this point his phone rang again, a call from his mother. However, he does not want to pick the call, using the excuse that he is eating at the moment, to which Hannah picks the call by herself, as she is introduced as Yoichi's friend's mom, and then proceeds to explain that he is staying with her for the moment after the fire incident at school. She even made up an excuse that Yoichi could not pick up the phone at the moment, so she had to take it on his behalf, and even went up becoming quite close to his mom on call that he was stunned. She then gave him the phone back, saying that his mom seemed to be quite worried about him. He then explained that there is nothing wrong with his parents, as they are good enough for him and supported him, but when he got to high school, he could not keep up with his studies, to which he started to feel guilty that he was not living up to their expectations. In the end, he could not go to the university of his first choice, so he ran away from home in Tokyo and went to a university in the countryside. Funny enough, he had lost his boarding, so he knew that his parents would probably try to support him again after what happened, but he could not bear to be a burden to his parents anymore, even though he could not live up to their expectations. At that moment, Hannah suddenly pulled into her embrace as she tried to comfort him that even though guest houses are originally private houses and are not as spacious as inns, nor have luxurious decorations including the local but delicious food, that he might have thought that it's little inferior to an inn. However, that's the nice part, is it's just like a safe home with no worries, familiar and warm. And that if he does not have a place to stay, then this place can be his home, and he can call her mom, but if that's embarrassing, then he can just call her Hannah without the honorifics. Seemingly stunned, he eventually goes with the choice of calling her mom. When he was done with the meals, which he was grateful for, he asked if there is anyone other than her working, to which she replied that there are only 3 people, that is, her parents and herself. Then he showed her the lady's picture his friend sent to him earlier, asking if she knows the girl, and that he was told she is staying at the guest house as well. Hannah had a look of surprise as she looked at the photo, to which she asked him where he got the photo, which he explained that it was from his friend and added that there is no deep meaning behind it. She then told him that the girl is actually her niece, and that she is still in high school and only helps out during long vacations, so she is not with her at the time. Yoichi was surprised and then said that he had found the girl looked quite similar to Hannah, who packed the dishes, and told him it's quite boring since there are no really young people in the countryside, and that he can take it easy until he finds a place to stay. However, as she was about to close the door, she playfully pulled out her tongue, which had a piercing in it, which is the same with the one the girl had in the photo, and then closed the door. Yoichi sat on his futon, scrolling through his phone and feeling frustrated. His social media was full of posts from his friends at university who were now living with their girlfriends. They shared photos of cooking together, watching movies, and spending time in their own apartments. Seeing all of this made him feel left out. He had always wanted to get a girlfriend too, but things hadn't gone as planned. His room had burned down just before the semester started, and he was forced to move back home, far from the life he imagined. As he looked at more pictures, the jealousy grew. He couldn't help but think that if his room hadn't been destroyed, he might be in the same position as his friends. He could have been living on his own and maybe even dating someone by now. Instead, he was stuck at home, feeling like he was falling behind while everyone else moved forward. While Yoichi was caught up in his thoughts, Hannah quietly approached him from behind. She noticed him scrolling through his phone, but Yoichi had no idea she was there. Her sudden words and presence scared him a lot, to which she asked what could the couples be up to living alone, as she had only read up to high school, so she does not really know about what type of place is university. After graduating from high school, she took over the guest house and also had to raise Itsuki. She then asked him if he is not going to school, which he replied that he does not feel like going, so she offered that he should accompany her to the sea then. After reaching the sea, Hannah casually asked him to stand guard while she changed behind a small boulder. The request struck him as odd, considering she was his friend's aunt, and such casual defenselessness seemed unusual, especially since she had been quite forward and familiar with him since they first met. Her actions had consistently shown a degree of closeness and assertiveness that he wasn't entirely sure how to interpret. Nevertheless, he obliged, keeping watch and trying not to dwell on the oddness of the situation. Soon after, Hannah reappeared, dressed in a wetsuit, preparing to gather seafood for their meal. As she geared up, he realized the sunburn she had mentioned earlier wasn't from sunbathing, but was caused by her time spent in the wetsuit, likely from a previous dive. Hannah's movements were swift and graceful as she dove into the sea, effortlessly catching fish and various seafood. Her ease in the water revealed a level of skill and experience that impressed him. She hunted playfully, occasionally splashing around or teasing him from the water, lightening the atmosphere. After a while, they sat down together on the rocks. Hannah sliced up some freshly caught abalone, offering him pieces to try. The taste was fresh and delicious, and he found himself enjoying the moment more than he expected. The freshness of the seafood, combined with the calming presence of the ocean, began to ease the tension he had been feeling earlier. Hannah watched him closely, a satisfied smile on her face as she noticed his mood improving. She commented, pleased that he seemed more relaxed and at ease, mentioning that if he was feeling better now, he should consider returning to class. Her tone was gentle but encouraging, and she added that even if he had to return late at night, she would take responsibility for him, ensuring he was looked after. It dawned on him that everything she had done, from bringing him to the sea, preparing a meal, and creating a calm environment, was all to help him feel better, physically and emotionally. He decided to head back to school, knowing that Hannah had gone out of her way to help him. Upon arriving at school, Yoichi received a text from his friend Itsuki, who informed him that he wouldn't be attending class today. This left Yoichi feeling a bit disappointed, as he had hoped to catch up with him after what had been an eventful morning. As he walked toward the sociology department, lost in thought, he was approached by a young woman he hadn't met before. She smiled and asked if he was really from the sociology department. When he confirmed, she informed him that there would be a small get-together later that evening at 7 p.m. with some people from their class, and she wanted to know if he would like to join them. Yoichi felt a surge of excitement upon hearing this. The prospect of a social event seemed like a golden opportunity for him to finally make some friends, something he had been hoping for since starting school. The fact that there would be girls at the gathering added to his enthusiasm, as it presented a chance to get to know his classmates in a more relaxed, informal setting. He envisioned chatting with new people, forming connections, and breaking out of his social shell. However, his excitement quickly faded when he remembered the logistical problem of getting back to the guest house. The shuttle service that connected the guest house to the school took around 2 hours, and by the time he arrived, he would be late for the gathering or, at best, exhausted. The long commute made attending the event nearly impossible, and the thought of arriving late or appearing disinterested weighed heavily on him. After mulling over the situation for a moment, Yoichi realized he had no choice but to turn down the offer. With a polite smile, he thanked the girl for the invitation, but explained that he had to head home early. Later that evening, Yoichi found himself back at the guest house, still feeling down about missing the get-together. The missed opportunity to make friends, especially with the girls from his class, weighed heavily on his mind. He couldn't shake the sense of regret, and it showed in his somber demeanor. Hannah, ever perceptive, noticed his mood right away. At first, she thought that maybe something was wrong with the food she had prepared earlier, but when she asked, Yoichi explained the real reason for his disappointment. He confessed that he was upset about missing a chance to socialize and make friends at the university, particularly with the girls. It felt like an opportunity had slipped away, and now he was left feeling isolated again. Hannah listened patiently, a small smile playing on her lips as she absorbed his concerns. Once he finished venting, she assured him that she understood and, with a playful tone, told him that she would keep him company once she was done with her work. Her words, though simple, were comforting, and Yoichi appreciated the thought. True to her word, after finishing up, Hannah took him out to a place called Snack, a small establishment known for serving drinks and hosting lively conversations. Yoichi was hesitant at first, knowing full well that he was still a minor. The idea of going into a place that served alcohol made him uneasy, and he voiced his reluctance. However, Hannah, in her typical teasing and carefree way, playfully shoved him inside, brushing off his concerns with a lighthearted laugh. Inside, the atmosphere was lively, filled with the sound of chatter, clinking glasses, and a warm, inviting energy. The moment they entered, a group of older men enthusiastically greeted Hannah, clearly familiar with her. Their faces lit up as they called her name, some even inviting her to join them for a drink. Despite their warm welcomes and offers, Hannah politely declined, explaining that she was already with someone, gesturing to Yoichi. Then they moved closer to where the waitress is, asking her to give them some alcohol, but the waitress refused as she claimed that Yoichi must be a minor, to which she served a oolong tea. Hannah then introduced the waitress as Run, who has been her friend since high school, and that she is quite good at giving advice. Yoichi was initially surprised, as he had always had the image of the snack bar waitress to be an older woman, but Run was actually quite young. Rin then told him that the important things he needs to know in order to make sure to date a girl in future is by having kindness and compassion. Yoichi was surprised, as she was not quite clear about the specifics. Rin then asked him why he is sitting a bit far from Hannah in the first place, as he can start from there. However, he replied that since the chairs are strangely close to each other, their bodies might touch, which might not be proper. Hannah then asked him what he thinks to be the most important element in love, which he replied that it should be the face. Hannah simply laughed at him as she claimed that his response is naive, and then said that he seems to be right in that aspect, as the face is the most important to start from. And that must have been the reason why he is looking for the girl in the picture, which Yoichi blushed and tried to deny. Hannah claimed that she does not know anything about Itsuki's school life, to which Yoichi said he can tell her about how his friend spent his time at the university. Hannah then said that she would teach what a woman is, in return to which she moved closer to him and reveal a part of her body, which made Yoichi to be surprised, including the older men in the bar. Meanwhile, Hannah made fun of him as she saw that he was blushing all over his face, and then told him that if he really wants a girlfriend, then he should start by looking at her eyes. Rin by the side remarked that Yoichi seems to be having a lot better time than those in university, as he has a woman looking after him. He could not help but glance at Hana. Hana snapped some pictures, dressing off his shirt to show her privacies. So when Yoichi got home and checked those pictures on his phone, he could not resist looking at them in his room, while laying down on his bed. Whereby he got to notice that Hana's boobs had a mole on the same spot, which made him think that the lady he saw at the snack bar could possibly be the landlady, as he observed that they look alike. Therefore he wondered why Hana lied to him, at first claiming that the lady was her niece. Yuichi was already confused as he cannot really get his head straight against all that has happened in those few days of staying in that house. Because when he thought about it, he saw that ever since he came to that house, Hana, who called herself the landlady, has been making his heart pound. After all, he knew that the house was owned by someone, or probably an immediate, but then he considered it not to be nice if their positions were reversed, as he would just be grossed out. And Yoichi knew that there's no way he would throw away something that Hana would not know about, due to the scent. But then Yuichi felt that she should actually forgive him, no matter what. The third night, Yoichi has his first wet dream, and Hana knew about it, but did not do anything to it. Rather, she just told him that it is part of signs to know that he is actually a healthy person, so she told him not to bother himself about it. But yet, Yoichi considered himself as a loser, and eventually, Hana later caught him secretly washing his briefs in the bathroom, which made him regret the fact that he had not ignored his conscience and rather satisfied his weird desires. Hana saw what he was doing and let him understand that he should hold back because of the weird thing he was doing in the bathroom, as she said she's not that harsh like that. After all, she claimed that she's used to seeing those kinds of stuff, so Yoichi should not feel awkward doing it in another person's house. Yoichi was shocked when he heard Hana said she was used to stuff like that. It sounds weird to him. And surprisingly enough, Hana let him know that she has been thinking about doing his laundry and changing clothes. So since what happened has happened, she decided to seize that opportunity to help him wash his clothes. She even suggested that he should just skip classes that day, so they can go and buy clothes and stuff they would be using for the meantime. So, Yoichi later went to buy some clothes, and while coming back from the store, he received a call from his mother, who wanted to come and give him some clothes. She was even worried about his son, so he wanted to come and check up on him, but Yoichi told him not to bother about worrying herself, as he said that he already got new clothes, therefore his mother should not bother sending any to him again. And moreover, he would be going to class. Plus he added that Hana would also be busy, because it seemed his mother wanted to come and greet Hana before since his son was not available, but his son made an excuse rather for Hana. Actually, Yoichi did not want his mother to come visit him at that house. He preferred her coming when he got a new house. Therefore, Yoichi saw a reason for him to start searching for a new house, as he knew that he cannot be a burden on Hana forever. But if he had not met the lady he saw the other day, who looked exactly like Hana, he would not have regretted it. Still, he had a wet dream which made him feel kind of embarrassed. However, he said if he confirmed that other lady to be the real landlady of the house, then he has no choice but to move out to the house the next day and leave the inn. Yoichi finally got back from school and saw Hana attending to some customers, so he walked up to her, and shocking enough, Hana claimed to those guests that Yuichi was her boyfriend, but immediately, Yoichi denied that fact, and Hana had no choice but to calm down and jokingly told the customers that she was joking. Then she welcomed those guests, as she decided to go and show them their rooms. Thereafter, she served the guests some foods and drinks which the guests appreciated her for, commending her for her quality food. Hana even sat with them to celebrate the guests' new married life, but Yoichi hated the fact that Hana had to sit down with the guests. And before Yoichi even knew it, Hana was already addressing the guests with nicknames. And with the way she was talking to the customers, it showed that she's close with them. Hana was talking to the lady about the ring she got from her new husband, leading her to explain how ladies do cherish gifts given to them by their loved ones, till everlasting. Because the lady happened to be caring about the ring, as she did not want it to get scratched. Then Hana realized that the customers actually came there after hearing about her and her partner's review. Later, Yoichi went into his room, wondering how amazing Hana was, as he detected that she can actually close the distance with people she meets for the first time, very easily. But he did actually expect her to say what she said when she was talking about women cherishing stuffs. Even listening to her maid, Yoichi felt like he's been thinking about her all the day. While Yoichi was thinking alone in his room, he suddenly heard Hana's voice informing him before she entered the room that she's coming, and before he could give her a reply, she already entered. She wanted to give him clothes from the laundry. Meanwhile, Yoichi was thinking of using that opportunity to just confirm what has been bugging him since. Therefore, he summoned the courage to just ask her, and as he told her that he has a favor to ask her. But just as of that moment, they started hearing some fantasy sound, in which they knew it was from those couples that went in earlier. Hana even told Yoichi that she already observed that most couples that stay in there and do enjoy their weird mood, which made her believe that men are energized while women's beauty increases instead. However, local people do tell her that it was the couples staying in there and that were blessed with children. Just that he found the cleaning to be tough, but enjoy the fact that those couples do continue as lovey-dovey ones. That was when Yoichi understood what Hannah meant by saying she was used to stuffs like that. Then Hannah let him know that she already understood why he was washing his briefs the previous day. Maybe he was thinking of having weird thing to do with Hannah, but Yoichi denied that fact, claiming that it was not like that. Then Hannah asked him about the request, and he replied that he only wanted to check her tongue. That request felt somehow to Hannah, whereas Yoichi wanted to use it to find out if Hannah was the same lady he saw in his picture. Later, Hannah agreed to show him her tongue, and when she did, he saw that the piercing was just the same as the lady he saw on his phone, because he was actually having doubts before. He began to feel confused about the whole stuff as he was not still sure if Hannah was that lady, checking the qualities of the tongue if it was really the same. Since Hannah showed him her tongue, she left his room, thinking that he might want to do some lonely weird stuff again, using that to just excuse him. Yoichi was not getting himself anymore, as he began noticing that if he did not take good care of what's happening, he might later fall in love with Hannah after. Therefore, he saw that he must find a new house to move in and leave that place. Then the next day, Hannah came to check up on him if he enjoyed his stay the previous night. That question sounds awkward to Yoichi, so he could not answer her, but Hannah thought he was just pretending, so she expected that he already knew what she meant by what she said. But Yoichi thought that she was talking about something else. Meanwhile, Hannah was actually referring to the couples trying next to his room, if he enjoyed their sound, since she knew that they went 4 rounds of weird stuffs throughout the night. That shocked Yoichi, and Hannah saw that it must have surprised Yoichi, being a virgin after all. But then, she told Yoichi to look at the couples again that morning, as they were still flirting with each other despite all that they did together all night. Yoichi was even expecting Hannah to behave somehow, as he knew that she did not know why he asked her to open her tongue the previous day. But now, he was surprised that she was acting like nothing ever happened, which made him think that it might be due to the fact that Hannah is now an adult that made her behave like that. But as he was thinking that he would have to go and get a house before he would fall in love with her, just then Hannah told him that he is still free to come and stay at her place even when he eventually got a new girlfriend, as she was ready to give him all the hospitality he needed when it's time. Yoichi could not even give her a reply, as he just hoped in his mind that she doesn't take that seriously. Later, he just had no choice but to lie to her that he would still come to her place. Later that day, when Hannah was talking, Yoichi could not just help but imagine how Hannah's mother would be when Hannah was like that. All of a sudden, a woman approached and started correcting how Hannah was talking to those customers when they were leaving. When Yoichi raised his head and saw the woman, he even thought that she was the real landlady, but was surprised when he heard Hannah addressing her as her mother. He was so amazed to hear that she was Hannah's mother, by the way, whom he had thought of just before she came around. Yoichi then saw that, automatically, Hannah's mother would be Itsuki's grandmother, and remembering Hannah's age, that she's 34 years old, he then definitely knew that her mother would be more than 50 years old. Hannah's mother abused Hannah for how she was dressed before Yoichi, as she did not know him before. Hannah's mother even told her daughter that she's acting like a child, which she hated. Immediately, Hannah knelt down and bowed her head, apologizing to her mother, showing that she feared her mother. Even her mother looked scary, actually, as she seemed to be the type of person who does give serious lectures with a gentle smile. Then after Hannah's mother finished bashing Hannah with words, she then faced Yoichi to confirm if he was the Sakamori she heard about, and out of fright, Yoichi quickly answered her that he was the one, because he did not know if she would get angry at him as well. But instead, Hannah's mother just welcomed him to their guest house. And miraculously, Hannah's mother even bowed to Yoichi in gratitude for helping his grandson and daughter. Therefore, she told Yoichi to even hold himself back and should feel free at home to spend any time he wants to spend at their guest house. Yoichi was shocked with the way the woman was respecting him, so he was lost. And the woman noticed the look on his face, so she asked him why his face was not that good, as she was concerned if he was having problems sleeping there. She even asked about all other things in the house if it is comfortable for him, which made Yoichi worried about the kind of hospitality the woman was showing him. When Hannah saw that her mother was already talking too much, she then persuaded her mother to go and sleep instead, as she guessed that she might be on a night shift, so she should sleep during the day. But her mother told her not to bother, that she did not have to sleep, as that was on a Saturday. Therefore, she knew that the guest house would be fully booked with customers already. But her daughter told her not to bother herself, that she can do things herself, yet her mother insisted. And that was when her mother remembered that she hardly finished her AMA diving yet, whereby she noticed that in those past few days, Hannah has barely finished all the works, which she saw that may cause inconvenience and discomfort to the customers who came there on their special day, as some cleanings might not be done properly, so that was why she wanted to help. In Yoichi seeing the mother-daughter talk, he decided to interfere, his own way to help, as he let the mother clean knew that he had once cleaned the bathroom once. Therefore, he decided to offer help again. So, the mother calculated the hours they would be able to use to clean the house, as the customer's check-in time used to be from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., and the checkout time is 10 a.m. the next day, which means that they only have 5 hours to clean all the rooms, bathrooms, and other facilities. Therefore, the woman prepared the schedule that they would first clean up the trash left by their customers, and then replace the futons and sheets as well, knowing well that it would be fast if they worked together in pairs. Immediately, they began the work, and while Yoichi was changing the sheets, he began having a rethink of moving out from that house, as he considered to stop searching for a new house in a while, rather than accept to continue living at the guest house. Just that he was still shocked with the different personality he met Hannah's mother with, which was different from his thinking. Since Yoichi expected her to be trash due to the comparison to the laid-back attitude of Hannah. But then it felt natural to him, though, with Hannah's mother aura. As they were still cleaning, Yoichi saw something which startled him, but Hannah's mother did not know. Instead, she just shouted at him to call his attention to continue cleaning and knit stop. So it was then that he explained to them that he actually saw a vibratory a customer forgot. Therefore, he asked what they would do such.